KTRS.com.
Good morning and welcome. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Got a good one lined up for you today. Laird Veach, the athletic director at Mizzou. They're smoking hot at 11:35. Jeff Smith, the Democratic strategist, at 11:08. And then Micah Ross, Jill, is going to join us at 10:35. This is the program that all men and women should listen to improve their relationships.
Yeah, she's one of the most popular therapists and relationship coaches in the country. More than 100,000 people turn to her for regular advice, and she is based right here in St. Louis. So even though she's extremely busy, it's hard to get her to be able to do public appearances like this. She was kind enough to come spend some time with us today, and she's going to be taking some texter questions today. So if you've got a relationship or family question for her, she is the person. I mean, she's kind of invented this system that I have friends who have young kids that say it has changed their life. She's invented this system to get kids to do their chores without complaining.
And what was the famous line she said last time that made you speechless that you were talking about for the next 2 weeks on the program?
Yes,
it was
yes.
you?
Yeah, you got
What did she
one
say?
thing wrong, and that was you were the one that was
that's not
speechless.
true.
She talked about how much easier it is, I think, for husbands to listen to their wives when they're naked and expressing themselves in that condition.
Connor, will you confirm with the audience it was Jill? Come on now.
I can't
Do you
back
wanna
you
eat
up on
on
this one.
Thursday?
I can't back you up on this one, Frank. I think you had me pull the audio and everything. I think you had me send it to Monique.
Yeah, he did, and then he played it the next day as well.
I did not. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, let's see. So I got to tell you, I have a gazillion days off at Channel 5. So I'm doing this, I think, for the first time in my lifetime. I'm taking a staycation. So I'm like off of TV I have all this time. They said, well, you can take it. So I'm going to take it. I'm off this week. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so.
And you're notoriously amazing at a lot of things. I don't find you particularly good at taking time off and actually not working on days off. So do you think you'll be able to can you set yourself a goal so it's an achievement this week to actually get better at that?
Monique has made sure I planned things, not work things, but fun things. So I got a lot of things going on.
Yeah. Good. Are you going to enlighten us in the opening dialogue, or can you tease us a little bit with what?
No, yeah, I can just, it's no big deal. Just playing in a couple of golf tournaments, going to lunches with some friends, got some dinners planned with the kids. Yeah, this is what life could look like. So just got to win that lottery. I can do this all the time. So.
Yeah, that's good. I really, because you had, if my math was right, I think you had a stretch there where I'm pretty sure you were almost, I mean, truly, not exaggerating, I think you worked almost 30 days in a row without having a total day off.
Something like that, yeah. And I will say this, the one smart thing I did was I was going to take this whole week off and then come back Sunday, but I realized that if I don't take Sunday off, I'll have no content to fill Sports Plus. So I just said, I'm taking Sunday off too. So now I have exactly no worries at all.
And that's really the albatross off your back,
Yes.
because that's always running in the background. You're always, even though you've got the daily 3 newscasts as well, I can always tell that's the biggie. That's like having the
I'm
term
not
paper
fill 30 minutes and how
every
I'm going to
week.
fill it well. Yeah.
Yeah, very,
all right,
very
so
good.
what's going on in your lives? Connor, you first?
Well, I was filling in for Carl, the intern, Carl Middleman, this morning again. So got up very bright and early, which is always fun. And just like I always happens, I'm unable to go to bed early. So, operating on limited amounts of sleep.
That's rough.
But he did a really, really good job for Carl this morning. You
thank you.
never know.
Yeah.
So hopefully a nap is in your future this afternoon.
Hopefully.
And you're a world traveler once again.
Yes, on that soon to be abolished flight from Des Moines from St. Louis to Des Moines. It's a whopping, I think it was 43 minutes on the way up and 40 minutes with the tailwind last night. But I did find out the hard way when I got to Lambert late on Thursday night to catch this 10:20 p.m. flight that my global entry had expired.
Oh.
Which is such a bummer. I get in the TSA line and I got that look of shame. What are you doing in this line? You're not TSA pre. And turns out, I don't remember getting a notification, but I had to go in and repay my fee again, and I have to go in and get one of those interviews this week to get it back on track.
Interviews. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
I know. I mean, once you have it, you can't really go back.
And why don't you tell everybody where you were and why you did this?
I was up in Des Moines for the weekend to spend a little time with my parents. And my mom is on hospice now, so she's getting great care. The angel workers that are hospice in the world, no timeline. And of course, it's our hope and prayer that she graduates out of it at some point. But she's getting great care, and Dad is hanging in there as well. So it was good to have some time with them, and got to take him to some health appointments and do a few things like that.
So that's good. And they're both, how would you characterize their health?
I would say Mom's, she has terminal cancer, so she's hanging in there, but it's definitely progressing. And Dad's holding steady. He's got some hard stuff going on, and he's holding steady too. But they have a deep and abiding faith and pretty positive attitude, and seem to enjoy having us around when we get up there and start bossing them around and reminding them to do things like drink water and eat protein. They take it pretty well from us.
And how many years of marriage?
They have been married for, let me do some fast math here. This June was 62 years.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, been together since they were seniors in high school.
You ever see them fight?
Sure. Yeah, they were they fight. They were not afraid to have a bicker. And still, I mean, to this day.
Knockdown?
No, never like slam doors, don't talk to each other, pout. But they share. They're very clear communicators about their emotions and feelings.
I'd love to ask Micah if I don't know if she's ever done a study on it. It seemed like though back then you'd have less knockdown dragouts. Maybe I'm wrong. But
yeah, we'd have to ask her, but I think that is such a personal thing. I mean, I think people in some families it was just the norm for people to have a lot more conflict and outward conflict, and in other families it was like, just put it all under the rug and we'll save it for later. I
don't know if my dad was a carpet sweeper, but I never saw him engaged in an argument with my mom. And that's Monique calls me the carpet sweeper, so I probably inherited that. So. All right, let's take our first break. Got a great guest list today with Micah Ross, Jeff Smith, and Laird Veach, the Mizzou AD. We'll have the opening dialogue when we come back on the Big 550 KTRS.
Black Friday savings are underway at appliance discounters. Take an additional 5% off any sale price. Speed Queen, GE Profile, Cafe, Bosch, LG, Frigidaire. It applies to all the brands. Next day delivery and installation, interest-free financing, locally owned, and the largest appliance retailer in St. Louis. 5% off any sale price, 6 locations, Afton, St. Charles, Baldwin, South County, and Maplewood, or online at theappliancediscounters.com.
Hey, Heidi Glaus here, asking you to join us weekly as we present the KTRS Book Club, presented by the St. Louis County Library for readers of every generation. Books transport us anywhere our imagination wants to go. They are absolutely magical. The KTRS Book Club will introduce you to local and national authors, events, and special programs presented by the St. Louis County Library every week from 3 to 6 right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpet sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
So here's the deal. If you're driving around and you've got some dings and dents and you start to notice them now a little bit more because the sun is out and you drive, wait a minute, hold on, I didn't see that before. Guess what? You need to get to Dents Express. They've got 2 locations on Manchester, in Baldwin, and in St. Charles. Whether it's dent removal, hail damage, minor collision, they'll work with your insurance company, handle all the paperwork, and then when it's ready, they'll come call you and you can come pick up the car for 30 plus years. Dents Express, STL.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset. Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Windows specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner Day.
Mizzou football on the Big 550 KTRS is powered by Royal Banks of Missouri.
Touchdown, Missouri!
Catch all the action right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work. They're injected once weekly, and patients see within the first 90 days 10 to 15 pounds down. It simply works, and that's why I recommend it to all of my patients. You simply go online, book an appointment, you fill out a health questionnaire form, you get an appointment on our schedule. It's all telemedicine based. It's all done from your home, and then you meet with me or one of my nurse practitioners, and then after the 10, 15-minute consult, the medication is delivered right to your door discreetly, and you get started right now on your weight loss journey.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call stlmedweightloss.com and ask Dr. Joe. stlmedweightloss.com.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS. Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Okay, thought one. By far the most compelling thing in sports, and I think for a big chunk of people in the region overall, is Mizzou football. So many elements involved. People upset with the performance. But who cares if you won an SEC road game in front of 90,000 people? And most importantly, they're alive in the college football playoff. Remember, Auburn had one-score losses with Oklahoma and Texas A&M also, and they could have beat Georgia. Next, the coach. The Florida media indicates that Eli Drinkwitz is the guy they want the most. The Athletic has an article that says that if Lane Kiffin says no to Florida, then Eli Drinkwitz should be the next move. Penn State has lost out on Kurt Cignetti. Who knows where he is on that list? There's always Auburn and Arkansas, too, and he has ties to that. And then you have the game itself on Saturday. Who would have ever thought that the game of the week in late October would be Vanderbilt hosting Mizzou? Who would have thought the Commodores, who won 2 games 2 years ago, would be 10th in the country with a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate? Who would have thought that the winner of this game would have a real chance for the college football playoff? It's all about Mizzou and St. Louis sports, and we're so proud to be the home of the Mizzou Tigers on the Big 550 KTRS.
Really, really good stuff. I can't be happier about how it turned out. You know, monitoring the score, and it was like, well, what a nail biter. Very well said. George Clooney turned 64 back in May, and in a cover story in Esquire magazine, he opened up about the fact that he's not always thrilled about it. He was in a cover story promoting his new movie, Jay Kelly. He admitted that he'd had some strictly age-related nerves about remembering all his lines during his recent Broadway run in Good Night and Good Luck. And he said his 91-year-old dad was unable to travel to New York City to see his son perform in the show. And he just said, my parents are dealing with all the things you can with age. They're not thrilled about it, and I'm not always either. That got me thinking, though. Of course, I can give you a long list of things I'm not thrilled about that are happening as I'm aging, aches and pains, not sleeping as well as I used to, brain fog. But I thought I'd flip that on its head. What am I thrilled about at this age? We can list all the things we're not thrilled about. What am I thrilled about this age? Things I appreciate about getting older. Number 1 for me on the list, not worrying as much what other people think. Number 2, being more open-minded. I'm a little less likely to probably pick a fight than I used to be back in the day if somebody had a different opinion than me. I'm less threatened if somebody disagrees with me because I've learned there's a lot of perspectives in the world, and some pretty wise people sometimes have different ones than me. Those are at the top of my list. Anything come to mind when you think about something that you're actually enjoying?
Well, I think you hit on some really good ones there.
Do you resonate with those as well?
Yes. Probably not as well as I should and as well as you do, but definitely sweating the small stuff a lot less than I once did. Part of that is my kids are no longer like playing a sport every month. But no, those are really good. What about just the physical aches and pains that, like, now if you have a really strenuous workout, you pay for it, where maybe 15 years ago you really didn't as much.
Right. That's something that I'm not thrilled about, that I think is there. So I think that's the hard. It's easy to see all the stuff that it's like, yeah, of course, I wish it wasn't this way. But when I kind of flipped that question on its head, it was helpful. It was good for me, because the other thing that I like is when somebody when I was younger, if somebody had an issue that stressed me out, hearing about it, all I could do was kind of commiserate, probably was throwing gasoline on the fire as I'm listening to him. As I'm getting older, and I'm sure you have this experience in the sports center as a mentor, you can listen to somebody else spinning out about something, and you can kind of hold that space as the wiser sage and say, don't sweat that. It's going to be okay. That mentorship, that wisdom that comes with age is actually good.
How about this? A sense of appreciation of things.
Great.
Especially my wife, but just everything. When you have like that good day, man, this was really good, or this show really worked out, or I am so lucky to be working with this person who is so talented that can make me look okay. You know, I mean, I think a sense of appreciation is probably the best.
Yeah,
for me.
excellent one. Really good.
Thought 2, Sumner High School and the fight to stay alive. It's a high school. It's the first high school west of the Mississippi to admit African-American students. It's celebrating its 150th year. It's been called the center of black culture. Some very famous people have attended the school. How about names like Dick Gregory, Tina Turner, William Clay, Chuck Berry, Arthur Ashe? It's a gorgeous building. You couldn't build something like that again, and they're fighting to stay alive. St. Louis Public Schools proposed closing more than 68 schools next fall. Sumner has been on the bubble now for years. The principal recently was quoted as saying that her students are worth fighting for, and some believe, though, it can't be saved. I hope it is. In the end, it's about the academics, I guess. Graduation rates have gone up a little bit, 57% in 2021, up to 66% 3 years later. A tornado, the tornado, damaged the building. It's like a fighter right now that has taken some blows and is wobbly. I just hope it's still standing. I just did a radio show with Howard Richards and Craig Riggins, and Howard remarked about, you know, the houses around it and just the lack of students. I hope it can survive. It's been so special for St. Louis, but it's rough right now for the school.
Yeah, Robert Guillaume. It's up there with John Burroughs. If you listed in MICDS, if you list the number of really well-known actors, athletes, and people who are important to St. Louis history who got their education there. For sure. As my mom has moved into assisted living and then into hospice care, we needed to downsize so many items. And my daughter, who's 28 years old, is safeguarding my mom's precious recipe file box with a plan to photocopy the most beloved and share them with my siblings and all the grandkids over time. And as I kind of just rifled through that recipe box this weekend and scanned the recipes, I immediately recognized my mom's, my grandmother's handwriting, the handwriting of our beloved family friend Bonnie, home economist extraordinaire. And it left me with a desire to try to master some of the incredible recipes from the amazing cooks who came before me. Can I do my grandma's carrot cake or my mom's cherry pie justice? No, probably not, but I can try. John's mastered his dad's chocolate chip cookies and his grandma Sherman's chicken and dumplings. I'm curious from you guys on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. What family recipes do you guys treasure? Do you hold on to the secret or do you pass it on to the next generation and hope that they can continue? I'd love to hear your examples from the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. And of course, I'm dying to hear yours, considering the Grandma Kiemel's legacy from your grandmother that lived on at Kiemel's. How many of the family members have access to those great recipes?
Well, I think we all do now, all the 6 kids. And one of them is the calzone that my sister Laura replicated about 2 years ago. And I felt like it was Grand Avenue Kiemel's 1978. So it's the best.
So she did it. She got it done.
Yeah. Nobody's ever really tried to do the toasted rav because of just the amount of time it takes and to find everything we actually did back then. But that would be a good one. But in fact, as I go to my next thoughts, one of them is about a grandma's recipe. So thought 3, Paul Mano's Friday. Now, let me just say this. You can go healthy when you go there, or relatively healthy, and get the Chilean sea bass, or you could have your meat fix with their famous lamb chop. But it's Nana's pasta, grandma's recipe, the Sunday gravy with the meatballs and the pork sausage and their red sauce. There was not a morsel left on my plate. It's literally Paul Mano's mom who makes this, in the daytime, and they serve it at night. The place has not lost its fastball. Paul's the best, right there with the greatest restaurants in St. Louis, Italian restaurants, John Minio's, Il Balago, Cafe Napoli, Trattoria Marsala. Bartolina's with all the greats, but had an unbelievable dining experience. Many think the loudest environment in the area, or like the loudest environment that you would encounter would be, say, like a stadium, like Auburn Saturday or Enterprise on Saturday. But I contend that it was my house on Saturday because in this like family den area, you had 6 adults having a conversation. You had 2 TVs on, Blues and Tigers. You had music in the background. You had 2 barking dogs and 3 loud baby girls squealing, laughing, sometimes crying. And I said to Monique, this has got to be the loudest room in America. And I loved every second of it on Saturday. Finally, Faraci's. That's the reason we had this gathering. Brooke's birthday, we celebrated. It's the only time where I'm eating meatballs where it feels like it's actually dessert. Now, I know you go to Faraci's for pizza, and you should. Their sausage pizza is the best. But you should try just their meatballs with that red sauce. It's just so good. Such an honor to pick up some carry out there Saturday night.
Oh, you have your finger on the pulse of all the good stuff, but particularly you seem to know where the best meatballs in town are. We're gonna record something and put it up on socials soon. You need to make your meatball list because I think people would absolutely love it. If you like clothes, and you know I do, very good news. Write this down. NCJW, National Council of Jewish Women, St. Louis, hosting its 61st annual designer resale event. It's coming a little bit later this week at their resale shop. More than 60 years, this highly anticipated shopping tradition offers fashion lovers access to nearly new, high-quality designer clothing, accessories, home decor, a fraction of the price. And, of course, the proceeds from this go to the NCJW St. Louis's community programs, directly supporting so many local women, children, and families. You can go to ncjwstl.org for all the information on the resale.
So let's get this straight. You can get like something really that was once very expensive,
like
designer
Gucci.
outfit.
I mean, they really for
a really probably a good price.
Yeah, I mean that's where I donate all of my clothes because they do such a good job at the resale shop and of helping women who need professional clothes, as well as the money they raise goes to such good things in St. Louis, helping thousands of St. Louis kids get school supplies before school starts and supporting women. Yeah. So it's a great place if you want to donate clothes. What they do is they have these great people with a great eye that pull the good stuff that people donate, the designer stuff, the stuff that's expensive, and they have this annual sale.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is.
For a great cause. That's great.
It most certainly is. Speaking of great things, our friends at Altair Travel and Cruises doing a great job. As a matter of fact, about I don't even know what the head count is. Several dozen of you are not listening to us right now because you're on a Disney cruise, because so many of our KTRS listeners joined our own McGraw-Millhaven, his adorable daughter Emerson, on their first ever Disney cruise, and he just couldn't say enough about the expert background information that he got from our friends at Altair Travel and Cruises, some of whom were along on this great cruise, including Angie Markway and Haley Lux, along with her little guy. It's his first Disney cruise as well. But McGraw said, if I was doing this on my own, I would have missed out on a lot of the good stuff that Emerson is going to love the most about this experience. And that's because they have so much expertise from people who've done these cruises many, many times before. And we all get to tap into that expertise when we have them plan our trip, whether it's a cruise, whether it's going to an off-the-beaten path resort in some place like Costa Rica, where it's going to the most affordable place in Mexico that delivers the best amenities. All of those things are part of the expertise that you too can get when you call Altair Travel and Cruises and help them plan your next trip. 314-968-9600, altairtravel.com.
And now, KTRS weather.
A progressive weather pattern with a lot of movement to it, and that results in some seesaw temperatures here over the next couple of days. Here's the game plan. 74 this afternoon under sunny skies, but winds becoming breezy out of the south. We're going to have some gusts up to about 35 miles per hour. But then in this quick-moving flow, a cold front moves through this evening. Not enough moisture to squeeze out any rain, down to 50 early tomorrow. And then behind that front, back to cooler for Tuesday. Will be sunny, a high of 67, and again, gusty winds winds, but this time, tomorrow, they'll be out of the west and northwest. No rain expected again until Friday into this weekend. We'll keep an eye on that timing. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers for the Big 550 KTRS.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
You know what they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and windows and doors are usually that first impression when it comes to your home. Dalco Home Remodeling custom makes their windows and doors, and better yet, they make them here in Missouri. Dalco Home Remodeling is locally and family owned, celebrating 50 years, so they know a thing or two. The Dalco team is known for quality and customer satisfaction. That's the way it was 50 years ago when they started, and that's still true today. So if you're looking to change the look of your home without breaking the bank, call Dalco Home Remodeling. They do free in-home estimates. Just call 314-298-7300 and make an appointment. You can also check them out online at dalcohomeremodeling.com. As they've always said, if you buy somewhere else and find out how much you could have saved at Dalco, you'll blow your stack. So call Dalco first, 314-298-7300.
From the same guys who brought you the watering bowl, say hello to the Number 2 crew. The Number 2 crew will visit your yard once a week in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, or St. Charles County, and they'll take care of your dog's business. Think of the Number 2 crew as your yard's best friend. 314-717-8880 or the2crew.com. The Number 2 crew reporting for duty each and every week in your backyard. The Number 2 crew or the2crew.com.
It's time for the popular Blust Jewelers annual Ladies Party, supporting breast cancer awareness, October 23rd through the 25th at the Blust Jewelers on Manchester Road in Tupper. Up to 50% off regular prices on select items. Wear pink and get an additional 10% off. Enter a drawing to win one of several gift certificates, and a portion of the sales will help breast cancer survivors. Enjoy refreshments, get a free gift with purchase, and most importantly, help support breast cancer awareness. Details at blustjewelers.com.
Let the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra take you on a journey through the Nordic countryside at Prokofiev and Sibelius from dark to light on October 24th and 25th. The SLSO performs Sibelius's sweeping Second Symphony, and renowned violinist Augustin Hadovich joins to dazzle on Prokofiev's Second Violin Concerto. Led by rising star conductor Tabita Berglund, performances take place at the newly reopened Powell Hall October 24th and 25th. Tickets at slso.org.
Want to get away in your own hometown? How about Innsbruck? Just 45 minutes from St. Louis, 7,500 acres, 100-plus lakes, 18-hole championship golf course, nature trails, event spaces, and so much more. Wedding venues, wedding weekends, corporate retreats. They've got A-frames and tree houses and custom homes. In fact, they have a fall home tour going on Saturday, October 18th from noon to 4. We'll see you there. To find out more, Innsbruck-resort.com.
Welcome back to the Frank and Jill Show. We are so glad you're with us on a Monday morning, and you're about to be very glad you are too. We're very happy to be joined by Micah Ross, one of the most popular therapists and relationship coaches in the country. More than 100,000 people turn to her for advice for everything from having a happy sex life to how parents can get their kids to do chores without complaining. Her popular courses have transformed family life for thousands, and her thriving therapy practice based right here in St. Louis, where she lives with her husband and 3 kids. Micah, always so great to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us today. One of my favorite things that I ever read when I first got to know you that was really transformative for me growing up, thinking that if any adult was fighting, that was the worst thing in the world, and it was a sign that divorce court was coming down the pike shortly. You actually, as a therapist, believe that it's important for couples to learn how to fight. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I think that, for a long time, we've adhered to this adage that we shouldn't be fighting in front of the kids. And I think that's partially true, right? I think that being able to get through disagreements, differences, in a way that we want our kids to see without things that are relationally damaging, like our voices raising, or we're calling names, or we're fighting to be right. All fighting isn't bad. All disagreement isn't bad. It's actually great for relationships. It's actually what leads us to more connection, more emotional intimacy. And I think, doing it in a way that we want our kids to see is super important.
What's the first thing you should do when you start to feel the temperature rising between you and your spouse?
I think that depends on what your skill level is in terms of getting through arguments in a way that leaves both people feeling better. When I first start working with couples and we talk about their fight or flight response getting triggered in those interactions with their spouse, then we might be taking a timeout. If we can't get through an interaction in a way where our blood doesn't start to boil, or that I tell people, like, look at that little Apple Watch on your wrist. If your beats per minute are over 100, you probably shouldn't be engaging in this interaction. That tells me your fight or flight response is triggered. Things are going to be falling out of your mouth that when you're calm, like, don't behoove you in this interaction. But I think ideally I want my couples getting through tough conversations in 10 minutes or less without timeouts. But I think we have to start somewhere, and we have to meet people where they are. And until you get the skills for that, to calm down quickly, to emotionally regulate quickly in those kinds of interactions, a timeout might be a good place to start.
Two-part question. What percentage of the couples that come in for therapy, counseling, or coaching with you say that sex is one of the biggest issues that is creating problems in their marriage? And
there she goes again.
What would you say is the biggest issue when it comes to couples and sex?
I mean, I think that most people in relationships, I don't know that I can put a percentage on it. Most people in heterosexual relationships have differences in drive, especially once kids come along. And I think it's a highly misunderstood topic. And so the things that get in the way are, I think that women's drives are highly misunderstood. It doesn't take much to get us to zero. So men have 9 times the testosterone that women do. And a doctor once, I read in a book, my friend, Dr. Lori Mintz, is a sexologist, and she wrote the book, A Tired Woman's Guide to Passionate Sex. She says she met with the doctor once, and the doctor said, a man can be standing in a pile of elephant feces, see a beautiful woman walk by, think about sex. A woman can be on her way to the bedroom with full intentions of having a sexual encounter, see a dirty sock on the floor, and it's all over. Like, we just live much closer to zero than men do. And once we're in, motherhood, and the 3 biggest things that get in the way of women's drive during that time are lack of sleep, caregiving, and stress. So that'll take our testosterone levels down to nothing, meaning our drive's going to be buried at that time. All
right, hold on a second here. I've been doing this for 33 years. That may be the single best soundbite I've ever heard. In terms of insightful, illuminating, that's so good. You're the best.
Oh,
all
thanks.
Right. So I was with my daughter and my wife last night, and I was going over some of the topics that we were going to throw at you. And one of them was, the one that really intrigued my wife the most was, how do you get kids to do their chores without, without yelling? Now, with that said, she said, keeping in mind that we had a 12-year-old who was getting an allowance who said to us, well, I really don't need the allowance. I'm not going to do it. And then when that boy was 19, when he was asked to clean his room, his response was, why, are you entertaining in my room? So that's what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
But getting back to the question, how do you do that?
Yeah, well, Jill in the introduction said that I get kids to do chores without complaint. I don't know that I would say that, but complaints happen. And I think when it comes to chores, I hear quite frequently that people can't get their kids to do chores. But I think you have to build a system that supports that, their desire, their motivation. And I think that that's something we're not thinking about on the other end. As an adult, am I motivated to have my house clean? Yes, because when people walk in, they judge me. Nobody's judging them if our house is not clean. They don't have the built-in motivation. So in our house, I decided a long time ago that they were going to pay for wants, and we were going to pay for needs. So things like gum at the grocery store, they're paying for. So I pay really handsomely for chores. but I'm also not paying for their wants. She wants to go to Six Flags. My daughter's here in the studio with us. She wants to go to Six Flags Fright Fest on the weekend. That comes out of her pocket. So she is highly motivated to do chores. And sometimes she will ask. Last year during this time, she wanted to go to Fright Fest, didn't have enough money. We've got prices associated with doing certain chores and cleaning certain rooms. She was asking me for extra chores. She was taking chores from her brother and sister to earn extra money. So when the motivation's built in, you don't have to be the external motivator with negativity.
And what's the system that you designed? Because people can actually, it's a very low cost, and so many people have tried it. They can get on your website and kind of it walks you through how to make this work.
Yeah, so it's called the Family Rules, Chores, and Systems for Discipline Workshop. I have melded together so many things. I've read every parenting book under the sun. And over the years, just sort of cobbled together a system that works. And I can deliver it to my couples in a very short period of time. I used to send couples home with books to read on how to get on the same page about parenting. And lo and behold, one or two of them would not read the book because who has the time to become an expert in this stuff? So I've really dumbed it down. It's like, the Cliff's Notes for how to get through this period of time with kids in the home. But yeah, it's systems for discipline, it's systems for chores, and it's delivered in 80 minutes or less for $37.
Yeah.
It's
I was going to say, I have a good friend who's got kids that are kind of in the thick of that as you described your son saying, I don't really think I need to participate in this mentality that they said it's this, she has these cards. It's amazing how it transformed things at home. So I've gotten a testimonial for sure. One of the things that I remember being a source of stress for us, particularly when the kids were going in a million different directions and we're still at home, is that whole dividing tasks. And who does what, and it could be things like emptying the dishwasher could definitely, if I would have been wise enough to check my Apple Watch at that time, my heart rate would have been well over 100.
Yeah.
How do we get better at that when we're in the thick of feeling overwhelmed and have too much to do and not enough time to do it?
Yeah, I think that this is probably one of the biggest source of stressors, frustration, aggravation is getting on the same page about who does what, division of household and family labor. And how to get on the same page, I say, is a never-ending, ongoing conversation. It is not a one-time talk.
You can't just give me a list and say, this is what you have to do, John, and this is what you do, Jill, and then we're good?
No, because kids are constantly changing. Their needs are changing. People's jobs are changing. There's a whole lot of context that we have to consider. So yeah, it's a huge source of frustration. It's actually the number 2 predictor of a woman's marital satisfaction is the perceived degree to which things are fair in household and family related tasks.
Wow.
So how do we do that? It's a whole lot. I think that people need to first learn how to fight. Like we've got to be able to talk about differences, not get defensive and or shut down, not go to that critical place where we're fighting to be right. It's if we can get through conversations about who's doing what and how often that's happening and expectations, like you're going to go far. But yeah, and I think to realize too that there are different expectations for women and men in terms of household and family. And I think we have to get really clear about that and be really conscious about that and realize the degree to which even that kind of invisible thing is getting in everybody's way.
All right, getting back to your now famous soundbite about romance.
Yeah.
So this is true. I'm asking the question that a guy could be in sweatpants and a T-shirt, and if he's doing the dishes and taking out the trash and doing these acts of service, he has a better chance for romance than a guy who may come home in an Armani suit saying, let's...
I think it depends. It depends on your spouse. If your spouse's love language is acts of service and or she is stressed, taking things off her list might help you
it's
more
called
than
chore
groping
play,
her.
Right?
Yeah, chore play.
Chore play. I've never heard that phrase.
Yeah. So I think it really it depends. I don't ask me, ask your partner. I would say I heard this woman say these things. Like what floats your boat? What's going to get you closer to the bed? I don't have those answers. But for most men, their top 2 love languages are physical affection and words of affirmation. Almost every guy that walks into my practice, that's why I would say that love languages book nails dudes. I think it whiffs on women. I think it totally whiffs on one of my love languages, which is feeling deeply seen and heard and understood. And so part of when my husband's doing the dishes, sometimes I feel deeply seen and heard and understood, because it's like, you see that I'm overwhelmed and you're taking something off my plate. It's not necessarily the act of service in and of itself for me. It's feeling seen.
Very good stuff. Okay, we have a question from the text line, and everybody else's questions have been in line or amalgamation of what we've talked about. But this person said, how do I get my husband to see what needs to be done instead of always having to ask him to do it? This is not the first time you've been asked that question.
No. And I think one of the complaints I hear a lot from women is that we are the seer of the things, and we want that role in and of itself taken off of our plate. So what the research says is, and we don't want to have to manage and monitor all the things. So what the research says is that couples who have more delineation in household and family-related tasks, meaning dishes are all somebody's, laundry is all somebody's, the lawn is all somebody's. You divide as much of that as you can. You can't do that with everything. But you have clear delineation in household tasks. The less then you have to communicate about it, the less you have to put it on somebody's radar, the less you're having to go, is it on your radar? Is it on my radar? Am I doing it? Are you doing it? The more delineation there is, I find, the less we feel like we are in every group project we've ever been since middle school, where you kind of take over the whole thing and hate everybody else's guts because you're the leader.
Yeah, exactly. What? I'm unfamiliar with this. I don't know what you're talking about.
So I encourage couples to get really clear on just like totally separating as much as you can. And I ask, I'll say, like, is there anything that's all his? And inevitably there usually is. And that thing is not on her radar. So how much more can we do that? So in my house, my husband's he's the laundry guy. He's been doing laundry since day one. But this has morphed and shifted and changed. I remember the day that I said all finger and toenails in our house that are not yours are now yours. I can't, or not mine, are now yours, sorry.
Wait, what do you mean? He's on toenail?
Well, yeah, when the kids were little, like all nails were his. I was just thinking of anything that I could take off my radar and put onto his plate. And he's in charge of the thing that we get the most jaw drops about he is in charge of all kid-related email.
That's a big one in this day and age, particularly.
Yeah. I want to get back to something you said earlier about being seen or being heard. Like, Pastor,
your jaw dropped when she said that.
All right, enough of this. Quit ganging up here. So, like Pastor Rick Warren talks about how you really have to have this time where you're looking right in the person's eyes and feel like that person is being heard. Can you elaborate on this a little bit? Because I'm terrible at eye contact, as you can probably tell.
Yeah. Well, and eye contact really doesn't do it for me. And there's a certain amount of eye contact that's a little bit weird. Like you cross a threshold and it's a lot. Okay. So listening is active. Listening is active, and we can't just say, or, yeah, I heard you.
Or text while the other person's talking, or actually carry on another conversation. Okay, good to know.
So Google active listening, but one of the skills that is highly associated with great relationships is just the skill of the paraphrase. It's just, hang on. I think what I heard you say is... or so, and then insert this paraphrase. It feels so ridiculous in the moment, especially if it's not something that you've come up doing, or it's something that your family does, take a minute to listen.
I think I heard, say that again.
Hang on, let me see if I got this right. I think you said.
This is so good. God, you are great.
Or you just, what I do most is just so, and I say what I think I heard them say with a question mark at the end. And the thing with paraphrases is that you don't have to get them right. There's no way to get them wrong, because even if you get them wrong, it forces the other person to be more clear.
Okay, so we could keep going on with this all day long. I'm going to leave it with this.
You have to read this, this text.
Yes, this lady is amazing. I probably wouldn't be divorced had I met her 20 years ago. I am a divorced male. Micah Ross, everybody can find you at micahross.com.
Yes.
So many great online courses, low cost. They can change your life on all the subjects that we've talked about here today and many more.
I think I heard you say that you should... Go ahead.
You're the best. Thanks so much for being with us. Somebody else who's the best, of course, Jeff Zufall, our friend at Capital Advisory Group, senior tax strategist, wealth advisor. He's just so good at what he does. He cares about it, and he cares about helping you to live the retirement you want and to make sure you're not overpaying on your taxes. Of course, his show this weekend was great. I know the one next weekend, Keep What's Yours, that he does with our own Josh Gilbert from the Heidi Glaus Show here at KTRS, the Big 550, the Talk of St. Louis. Always so full of information. But better yet, reach out today, 636-394-5524, capitaladvisorygrp.com.
Truck drivers, don't miss out on the unmatched consistency of a Schneider driving job. At Schneider, you can find a driving position that fits your lifestyle and goals, all while getting the pay you deserve. Plus, Schneider drivers operate state-of-the-art, well-maintained equipment and have access to award-winning benefits and a 24/7 support team. Explore Schneider's huge selection of driving jobs today and find your perfect fit at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Michael's Baths, operated by Michael Gower and his daughter Melody. If you want a bathroom remodel, Michael's Baths will give you a free quote. Walk-in showers that all look like natural stone, maybe some grab bars, whatever you need. All they use are American-made products, so you're not at the mercy of any tariff increases. Right now, get a free shower door or $500 off a bathroom remodel. Michael's Baths, 636-775-0800, or online at michaelsbaths.com.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture and Mattress, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. We offer the largest selection of Amish-made furniture in the St. Louis area, plus quality living room furniture from Flex Steel and Smith Brothers. We carry top-quality mattresses from world-famous brands like Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, and Chatham & Wells. Shop our Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, and Ellisville showrooms at Miller Furniture. We put the family in furniture.
Hey, it's Julie Buck for our friends at Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution, and they've been in St. Louis for over 20 years with 2 locations, one at Clayton and Lindbergh, and the other one just west of 270 on Olive. If you've got your own business and you want to have a better banking experience, look no further than Triad Bank. Their mission is to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services to you and your business. For more, go to triadbanking.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Branch out and get to know the St. Louis County Library System September 2nd through October 31st. The library is encouraging people to visit new library locations during the Branch Out Challenge. Pick up a passport or register online to get started. All 20 St. Louis County Library branches are offering fun activities and giveaways. Complete the challenge and take home an I Love My Library window cling and a chance to win a $100 Visa gift card. Learn more at slcl.org/branch-out.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
The Bommarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory at bommarito.com.
That was a darn inspiring way to start a Monday, wouldn't you say?
She is just delightful. Yes, and helpful, too.
She really is. And she takes the complicated stuff and makes it really simple. She's a great communicator. She's funny. I highly recommend, for those of you on social media, that you follow her on Instagram. She is constantly just giving great free advice on all the subjects we talked about. You can also check out her courses at micahross.com as well. So very, very fun. And I like that you kind of polled the family last night to see what issues they wanted to get insights on.
How are you going to get? How do you figure this out? Yeah, that's good.
That's right. And it's all you guys get to do now is just observe your kids getting it right with the grandkids. You don't have to be the ones who are responsible for getting anybody to do chores anymore, but yourselves.
You're right. Yep, that's good. Somebody just said they're already on her website.
Yeah, can you believe all these texts?
Mary Lynn says she was fantastic.
Yep. I also really loved hearing from so many of you guys talking about family recipes. And I of course, we all can relate to this one too. Too many of my family recipes were never written down, and unfortunately they died with the cook. So let that be a reminder for those of us who are lucky enough to have some of the great cooks in our lives still around, to ask them if they're willing to share any of those recipes, because they are a really fun thing to be able to pass on as part of the legacy to keep those memories alive.
Men don't realize that during sex, many women are thinking about what needs to be done around the house rather than the deed, writes 618. On the flip side, he also writes, or she writes, women have to accept the task is done rather than redoing it. All right.
Yeah, but I think they're talking about the when she was talking about the household task stuff. They're not the other task that was being referenced there. Yeah. But lots of good insights, lots of great questions from you guys on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126 on this subject, and we absolutely love hearing from you. Somebody else we absolutely love hearing from are people who have taken our advice and set up that appointment to have the meeting at the places like McKnight Place or the other Gatesworth communities like the Gatesworth and the Park Provence. Somebody just said the other day, it was just the prompting I needed to begin the conversation. It's been something we've been putting off for a while, and we know it's time for us to start considering what's out there when it comes to assisted living. And the great thing is you can already know in advance before you set up your appointment at McKnight Place Assisted Living that people actually travel from other parts of the country to live here, because what they offer is so second to none on many things, including memory care, things like predictable pricing so that the prices aren't changing constantly in a way that makes working out the finances difficult. So many other things about McKnight Place are just better than the rest. See for yourself when you go to McKnightPlace.com, 314-993-3333. Lots more coming up on the Frank and Jill Show after the news.
Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
Yeah, they're on the med, and these medications are used, these GLP-1s, for reducing inflammation in your body. I get so many folks that are like, wow, I don't have the knee pain. I don't have the...
Because once you start losing weight, all these other things naturally happen to you in a positive way. Not just talk about the deals for KTRS listeners at stlmedweightloss.com.
All KTRS listeners, they get $50 to $100 off their first month. And what's beautiful about it too, hey, I get it. The economy, what we just had, guys, things are difficult right now, but we make the plan work for you. We have financing options. We make this work for you because we realize how important it is to get down in your weight, get your confidence back, and really start feeling like the old you.
Call stlmedweightloss.com and ask Dr. Joe. stlmedweightloss.com.
Let's talk about a getaway where you're not spending all the time on the road. How about Innsbruck? Think about it. You could go from your desk to a canoe and do some fishing in about 25-30 minutes. They've got A-frames, they got tree houses, or if you're looking for a place to live that's away from hustle and bustle, custom homes and condos as well. It is absolutely gorgeous. Have you been out? Have you looked? Go to Innsbruck-resort.com to find your getaway.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Ladue, Glen Carbon, University City, Edwardsville, Manchester, Wood River, Grafton, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Depend on it.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Internet users worldwide still impacted by disruptions due to widespread outages hitting major websites and apps that use Amazon Web Services. The Wall Street Journal, along with Facebook, Roblox, Venmo, and some airlines are reporting issues today. Here's ABC's Rhiannon Alley.
If you were up late overnight or early this morning and you were trying to catch a flight or perhaps trying to watch some of your favorite movies streamed or even play games, you might have noticed a problem with some of those apps and sites. And it was all thanks to a global outage taking down some really big name favorites. Amazon Web Services, that is a leader in the cloud infrastructure market. It reported the outage, citing an operational issue.
President Trump at the White House welcomed Australia's prime minister for talks today and announcing a deal for the U.S. to access rare earth minerals from the country. The Trump administration defending its military strikes on boats in the Caribbean, saying the U.S. is targeting boats transporting illegal drugs. The latest incident reportedly killed 2 people, and in all, 32 have died in military strikes. ABC's Mary Bruce says the White House is facing criticism for not providing any evidence.
Trump posting that Colombian President Gustavo Petro is doing nothing to stop drug production, warning him to close up the cartel's killing fields immediately, or the United States will close them up for him, and it won't be done nicely. Trump's threat coming just hours after Petro accused the U.S. of killing an innocent fisherman during a strike last month in the Caribbean.
The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is holding despite clashes over the weekend in Gaza. Israel says 2 IDF soldiers were killed and it retaliated. The Hamas-run health ministry says 44 people were killed. 2 sources familiar with the matter also say U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are back in Israel. Gas prices falling below $3 a gallon. Gas Buddy shows the national average for a gallon is $2.96, the lowest intraday level since 2021.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind, to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. An investigation is underway after 3 people were shot in South St. Louis. Police say this happened after gunfire was exchanged between 2 vehicles yesterday afternoon in the 4200 block of South Compton. One of the victims is in critical condition. The other 2 are said to be in stable condition. Boeing and striking machinists are scheduled to resume talks today. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers says both sides have agreed to another meeting with federal mediators. Over 3,200 Boeing employees in the St. Louis area have been on strike since early August, demanding a better contract. The aerospace giant said it's pleased to return to the negotiating table and hopes to find a path forward. A ceremonial swearing-in will be held today for Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. She was appointed by Governor Mike Kehoe after Andrew Bailey resigned to take a job as the co-deputy director of the FBI. The Illinois Department of Insurance is encouraging insurance companies to support policyholders impacted by the government shutdown. KTRS's Jill Enders has the story.
The Illinois Department of Insurance is calling on insurance companies to provide relief to policyholders who are experiencing financial hardship during the federal government shutdown in an effort to ensure that Illinoisans do not lose insurance coverage. Director Ann Gillespie released a statement which reads, quote, "The lapse in federal appropriations since October 1st impacts more than 153,000 Illinoisans who are employees of the federal government. These consumers should not have the added burden of losing insurance coverage because they are not being paid and cannot pay their auto or homeowner insurance premiums." End quote. The department is urging all insurers to immediately consider implementing protective measures for their policyholders who are federal employees, including a moratorium on cancellations. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minutes is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. Canadian banking giant BMO is selling 138 branches in 11 states, including more than a dozen in the St. Louis area, to North Carolina-based First Citizens Bank. Under the terms of the agreement, First Citizens Bank will assume approximately $5.7 billion in deposits and purchase approximately $1.1 billion in loans. The deal is expected to close in mid-2026. And now let's take a look at the markets, brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. On Wall Street right now, Dow Jones up 380 points to 46,570. S&P 500 is up 65 points to 6,729. NASDAQ up 316 points to 22,996. KTRS Sports, Mizzou football has moved up to number 15 in the latest AP poll after a 23-17 double overtime win at Auburn. The Tigers are now 6-1 and will play number 10 Vanderbilt this Saturday. And you can hear it right here on the Big 550. ESPN's College Game Day will be descending upon Nashville for this big contest. St. Louis City SC has re-upped with goalkeeper Roman Berkey for another 2 seasons, with an option for a third. Berkey was set to become a free agent if an agreement hadn't been reached. KTRS weather. Today, sunny, high of 72. Tonight, clear overnight low of 48. And tomorrow, sunny and high of 62. Right now, we have 61 degrees at 11:07. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
All right, welcome back. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. You know, if I were in charge of the Democratic Party, I would call Jeff Smith and say, Jeff, lead us. He's common sense. He's smart. He's hip. He's a good man. He's a good friend. Jeff, good to be with you. How are you, sir?
Thank you for the very kind words, Frank. I'm well. How are you?
Very good. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's go local first. Brian Williams, Sam Page, how you seeing that with some things hovering over Sam Page as we speak?
Yeah, Sam Page, the county executive, as some will recall, was indicted for the allegation is that he spent to inform people about the ballot measure that went on St. Louis County ballots last spring that would have kind of defanged him and given the county council the ability to fire or hire his cabinet members, right? The people who run the county agencies. His defense is that, school boards all the time put out, if there's like a bond issue, they put out information about it. The prosecutorial allegation is that, yes, but the information that he put out was kind of skewed towards his side. So that's the issue that's going to be adjudicated. We have a new attorney general in the state, Catherine Hanaway. It'll be interesting to see if she takes the same approach as Andrew Bailey, the former attorney general, did to that. Regardless, Sam is continuing to plug away, kind of putting his head down and trying to ignore that and just, governing the county. And, he could probably use some positive news stories in the months ahead. We'll see if he decides to run for re-election. Brian Williams is a state senator who has announced and started raising a lot of money for that race. Doesn't have the kind of management and executive experience that Page has, but is a fresh face in a time that a lot of people are kind of looking for something different, kind of a fresh face out there. So we'll see what happens. I think there are other people. If Sam Page does not run for re-election, probably you will see County Assessor Jake Zimmerman jump in that race, would be my guess. And there probably, there's always like a business guy, right? Remember Mark Montavani?
Oh yeah.
He would have been one of your Italian brethren, right?
Yep.
Okay. He's run for that a couple times, and some say he still has the bug. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if he or another kind of businessman decides to self-fund and get in that race, sensing that there is, that it's going to be likely a wide open primary.
Let's talk about, by the way, hi, Jeff, it's Jill Farmer. Let's talk about Cori Bush is saying she is not done in politics by any means, and she wants another go-around with Wesley Bell, announcing that she's going to be running for his seat in Congress next time around as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would say she's probably got one thing going in her favor and then a few things that are going against her. The one thing that's going in her favor is that the Democratic primary electorate has gotten, I think, a little more skeptical of Israel over the last couple of years, in large part because of the way that Netanyahu kind of prosecuted the attacks on Palestinians. And so marginally that helps her, that kind of slight movement in the Democratic electorate and increasing skepticism of Israel. There are much bigger issues that have gone against her. The biggest one is that she's no longer the incumbent. When you're the incumbent, it's almost always easier to win than when you're a challenger. So if you couldn't win as the incumbent, it's going to be harder to win when you lack the powers of incumbency, most notably fundraising. It's easier to raise money when you're already in there taking votes. More people are, you have more visibility and more people are going to support you. Secondly, Bell has done a credible job and hasn't really, hasn't created any controversy or anything. So he's done a fine job, I think, as the incumbent for almost a year now. And then thirdly, most important probably, Cori Bush's husband is under indictment for lots of, financial issues that are related to accepting lots of payments, like I think over $500,000 of payments for providing security to her. And there's just a lot of messiness around her finances that are going to be magnified by the Bell campaign and independent expenditure campaigns in the year to come. So expect to hear a lot about her own kind of personal, legal, financial challenges as part of that race. So I would bet if you were asking me, that Wesley Bell is reelected. What do you guys think?
I would think Wesley Bell is going to win in convincing fashion.
But I think you raise a good point. If there is a time for her to run, it's now, because I think voters will forget about people over time, and so if she still has, whether it's notoriety or whether she's rather somewhat infamous for some of the positions she took and the things that surrounded her. Her role in Congress, I think it's the timing is probably right to give it one more shot if she's going to.
Yeah, and I should just say one more thing. While the primary electorate has probably moved marginally towards her on issues related to the Middle East, the primary electorate and the entire electorate has moved against her position on, like, defund the police, right? And you see that reflected in various choices that St. Louis voters have made, such as, Kara Spencer's convincing win over Tashara Jones and other, races in the area. So I think that movement is a positive for Bell's more mainstream position on public safety, particularly given his background as a prosecutor.
Jeff Smith, Democratic strategist, with us on the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. So, barring anything shocking, we are going to have a Mayor Mamdani in New York. I'm wondering, is it a good thing for the party to have someone who's young, handsome, dynamic, who understands social media, or is it a bad thing to have one who's going to be the mayor of the biggest city in the country, who's so far to the left for the Democratic Party?
So it's been said before, Frank, that you campaign in poetry and you govern in prose. Mamdani has certainly campaigned in poetry, right? A lot of grand promises that have gotten a lot of people on the left really excited. When you're actually then governing, a city of almost like 9 million people, and you got to, make some compromises, he's probably not going to govern as far left as some of the things he has said in the past. My guess is that he kind of drifts a little bit, more towards the center. I think a lot of it, what the implications of this are for the Democratic Party writ large will depend on how New York City does. If you see him, pursue policies that hurt New York City, let's just suppose that he opens several city-owned grocery stores and they don't work out. And a few years later, they've gone south or they've lost a lot of money or whatever. Like, that will be something that I think the media pays a lot of attention to. If you see a decline in the general safety in New York City, or, violent crimes go up, or, carjacking, robberies go up, that will reflect poorly on the left wing of the Democratic Party and potentially, given his visibility as mayor of New York City, hurt the party more broadly. However, if you see him not being crazy like some people think he's going to be, if you see him trimming his sails and getting along okay with the big business people that in real estate and finance who dominate New York City, if you see public safety continue to be the trends being positive, violent crime continuing to go down, then a lot of people are going to say, hey, this guy is a national leader for the party. As you said, he's young, he's charismatic, he gets social media better than probably anybody in the Democratic Party right now, and that's going to be very good for the party. So I think it remains to be seen. I think he is going to win, and I think a lot is riding on it because, New York City is so visible, and Eric Adams was widely seen as, just kind of a buffoon in that office. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, hard to say, but I think you bring up some interesting points. He does seem to make a lot of people in the center of the party a bit nervous that have yet to throw their support behind him. So I don't know how well he'll play outside of New York in the rest of the country with some of the stuff that he has talked about. I want to ask you, Jeff.
Can I say one more thing on that,
Yeah,
real
please.
quick? I think what's important for Democrats around the country to remember is that Manhattan is not, Manhattan in New York City is a lot different from Manhattan, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And just because something plays well in Manhattan, in New York, doesn't mean that that's exactly the kind of persona or philosophy that's going to work well for Democrats all over the country. And Democrats have to be flexible, which is why, I've gotten flack for this over the last couple of decades. But I do think that, if there are rural Missouri Democratic candidates that might be, pro-life or might be, have other positions that are not in the mainstream of the Democratic Party, Democrats should say, you know what, you don't agree with us on 100% of the issue, but that's okay. You're still a Democrat. And if we're going to ever get back to a majority in a state like Missouri, we've got to accept some differences within our party. And I hope that even if he is successful, people recognize that there are different types of Democrats who can be successful in different places. John Fetterman in Pennsylvania is a good example of that. Sorry to interrupt you, Jill.
No, I'm glad that's a good point. And I think many people could say, analysts could say that that's one of the huge issues in the Democratic Party is letting the Beltway, things that are happening inside the Beltway actually be what are the big things that are happening for the rest of the country. I do have a question because I know we're only, 10 months into the President Trump's second term here, but of course, a lot of names being bandied about by pundits around who may be the contenders to try to run for president next time on the Democratic side of the ticket. Names like Andy Beshear of Kentucky, Gavin Newsom, Tim Walz, Wes Moore, J.B. Pritzker, Josh Shapiro when you're looking at governors, Cory Booker, Ro Khanna, Pete Buttigieg, Rahm Emanuel, Amy Klobuchar, the Minnesota, the women in Minnesota leading up there as well. I mean, in Michigan as well. Do you have any favorites already? Do you have any predictions about somebody that you think everybody needs to keep their eye on that may be a contender? Or what are your thoughts at this point?
Well, Jill, you just provided the most comprehensive list that I've heard anybody provide.
She didn't leave anybody off.
No, but did you say Gavin Newsom?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I know a few of those folks. I moderated a panel years ago with Gavin Newsom when I was teaching in New York City, and he was incredibly impressive. I think the question is, is it smart to nominate someone who has kind of the baggage of being seen as a Bay Area guy, right? Mm-hmm. When your average, the states that you got to win a national election basically are like, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, these heartland states. Arizona is another swing state, but most of the swing states are like these Midwestern, Rust Belt states. Can a guy from California with the, movie star looks and kind of that glamorous, kind of image, especially with kind of the people will bring back the thing when he said everyone stay at home, and then he had this dinner at this super fancy restaurant. I'm not sure if he's the right image. The two guys who I'm closest to, who I think are incredibly impressive, are Pete Buttigieg and Wes Moore. Wes Moore is the governor of Maryland. Pete Buttigieg, of course, was former Secretary of Transportation, and they're both incredibly bright. I think that Moore is a fresher, will be a fresh face on the scene since he hasn't run nationally. Pete's got the benefit of the experience having done it one time. And I think both of them, the thing that they have in common is they have a way of framing issues that is like depolarizing and de-escalating and unifying, which I think will kind of be what the country is thirsting for after, I think, what will be the exhaustion of 4 more years of Trump. Conversely, Newsom is kind of trying to almost be like Trumpy, with kind of his Twitter presence and, some of all the attitude that he's showing. And I think that is not going to be what Democrats ultimately want or what the country ultimately wants. You tend to go back and forth from different types of personalities. And I don't think the way to beat Trump is going to be like Trump. I think the way to beat the Republicans in 2028 is going to be, the remedy is going to be to have a general disposition that is very different from what we go through the next few years as a country. And that's why I think like a Buttigieg or a Moore will be best equipped to do it. Bashir is an interesting candidate from Kentucky. I mean, here's this guy who wins in a state that Trump wins by 30 or 40 points. And Bashir is a Democrat, won and then got reelected in a very Republican state. So I think he's someone interesting that we should take a look at too. I think what we need to avoid, honestly, I don't think like an AOC, if she decides to run, I'm not sure if you mentioned her, Jill. I don't think that's kind of like the background that's going to play well in those critical heartland swing states.
Good stuff, Jeff. We'll talk soon. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Great to talk to you, Frank and Jill. See you guys.
All right. That is Democratic strategist Jeff Smith joining us on the Frank and Jill Show.
Miller Furniture, our friends, 4th-generation family-owned business with 4 great, just beautiful showrooms in the St. Louis area. One is close to you. They do such a great job at helping advise people on what to buy. We've all had that experience. At least I know we sure did early in our marriage, and we actually repeated it more times than I should be admitting and publicly here, of looking at the sale flyer at home and saying, yeah, we need to go out. And we went to buy maybe a couch, and next thing we knew, we got talked into, because of super deals, we got talked into the whole living room set with end tables and a coffee table. And by the way, if you get this discount, you can get some bedroom furniture too. And when we brought it home and we had stuff that we weren't necessarily in love with, that we had to live with for a long time because it was enough of a hit to the budget that we couldn't just replace it right away. And it ended up being that part of the house where we just the wind kind of went out of our sails when we were there. The great thing about Miller Furniture is they want you to love every single piece of furniture in your home. They want it to be beautiful. They want it to be functional. They want it to be updated yet classic. And they can help you walk that line and do all of that with their incredible staff. They can work with an interior designer that you love. If you want to bring them in, they're just very sophisticated in the way they can support you. MillerFurniture.com if you want to see their selection of beautiful Amish-made furniture right now, or visit one of their locations. Fairview Heights, of course, Lake St. Louis at the Meadows, Ellisville off Manchester Road, and their flagship newly remodeled store in Belleville, Illinois.
The University of Missouri-St. Louis is committed to providing top-ranked education. More than 80% of our students receive financial aid. At UMSL, more is what moves us. Find your more and explore your financial aid options at more.umsl.edu.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind, to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866.
If you need a credit score of 750, you need Analytico750.com. Analytico750.com is the credit health partner that works for you. With Analytico750.com, you get smarter, faster credit updates. Forget waiting 45 days. At Analytico750, we provide fresh updates every 30 days. Plus, you get access to all 3 credit bureaus and unlimited reports for just $25 a month. But there's more. We also provide business credit reports, personal credit analyzation, and credit monitoring to keep tabs on your score 24/7. We even offer rapid rescore to accelerate score changes and a security freeze to lock down your credit from identity thieves. After you sign up, one of our credit experts will help you aim for a 750 credit score. Build your credit score to 750 with Analytico750.com. Call 800-850-0750. 800-850-0750. That's 800-850-0750.
How do you separate estate planning from elder law? You don't, because they're so intertwined. Let's face it, we're all getting older, and you need to make these decisions today, whether it's for your parents, for yourself, or for future generations. Rudy Beck, Jay Lennox, and Caroline Stolzer have been navigating these important decisions for more than 50 years. Beck, Lennox, Stolzer, Estate Planning, and Elder Law. Call them, 636-946-7899 or beckelderlaw.com. You can thank me later.
If you're looking for your next home, think of First Community. Our Smart Choice Home Loan offers a 30-year fixed rate of just 6.531% APR to qualified borrowers, and you only need a down payment of 10%. Whether it's your first home, your forever home, or even a vacation home, be smart with a Smart Choice loan from First Community for all your savings and all your loans. Must qualify for membership. For terms and conditions, call toll-free 1-888-642-7969. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
Schrader Funeral Homes and Crematory, St. Louis's oldest family-owned funeral home, offering complete funeral, burial, and cremation services, including an on-site reception center and crematory. 150 years of serving St. Louis families. Visit them at Schrader.com.
Wake up, it's a brand new day. Getting your weekday started the St. Louis way. It's the McGraw Show.
All right, so after last week, I can't talk about Mizzou anymore. So stay tuned for Steve Savard, who is still filling in for McGraw Monday morning. I'm Carl. He's Steve. Thanks for listening.
McGraw, Millhaven, Rose Dalton, and Carl the Intern. Weekday morning, 6 to 10.
Right here on your hometown station, the Big 550, KTRS. Want a song?
Surround my mind like the song on the radio.
Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550, KTRS.
Welcome back, everybody. Second hour of the Frank and Jill Show. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, Connor McCarthy. Been a great show so far. So glad you're with us. If you missed any of it, go back and watch it on YouTube. And check it out on Facebook as well. You can always go to our website and listen to the podcast of every single show we do as well. And we always love hearing from those of you who do that. And let us know what you liked and what you'd like to see in the future. So, song of the day, speaking of listeners and communicating great things to us, one of you pointed out, I believe last week, that John Lodge, singer and bassist of the British rock band The Moody Blues, died at the age of 82. There were some other pretty prominent deaths in the last week, Diane Keaton and others, and so some people think that it sort of slipped through the news, but Lodge peacefully slipped away while surrounded by his loved ones, listening to the sounds of the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly. So in memory of John Lodge, singer and bassist of the Moody Blues, we thought we'd play a little Nights in White Satin this morning. Song first came out in 1967 and went up the UK charts. It was released but didn't do well in the United States in 1968, and then it was reissued in 1972 and made it to number 2 for 2 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100.
Well, I don't know anybody who wouldn't recognize that song. Gosh, that's powerful.
Yeah, and I kudos to whoever, the record label, whoever listening to it, because it's not. On first listen, I can't imagine somebody went, "Wow, that's a really catchy tune," but it's got a lot of layers to it.
Powerful,
isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, it really is. Speaking of powerful, and I'm about to share something with you, and I have a lot of bias on this front because I've known him for 30 years, and I think he's one of the finest human beings that ever lived, and that's my old friend and colleague Tim Izell from Fox 2. And if you haven't seen it yet, he sat down with his colleague and my former colleague Margie Ellisor as well to talk about the latest unfolding in his health journey, because he really is, if not the most popular, one of the most popular TV personalities in St. Louis, and everybody who knows him personally, I think 100% of 100 people would say he's one of the most genuine, great people that you would ever meet. So here's just a little bit of him talking to Margie about where he is on his health journey right now. So Tim was diagnosed with Parkinson a few years ago and has been open about that process in more recent times, as he said, thanks to that kind of viewer saying, I have this other thing that's Parkinson's-like, but it's got a few other components that make it a little more complicating and challenging as well. MSA, multiple systems atrophy, that it turns out that's actually what he is dealing with. His future, he says, on the air, he's still figuring a few things out, so they're not saying that he's going to be gone for good necessarily, but he is taking a leave right now. And he also, in the interview, which you guys can see on YouTube as well, by the way, he said that he just got accepted into a treatment protocol at Mayo Clinic. So far, MSA, like Parkinson's, is a disease where you treat the symptoms. There's no cure, but things are being worked on for sure.
And he's probably 55. What is he?
Yeah, he's yeah, that's about exact right. He's right in my range.
And then what I thought was the most amazing about his life was right in the middle of this incredible TV career, he left to become a pastor.
Yep, went to
And
seminary.
How long did he go for? How long was he gone for?
A few years, and on that journey, and then kind of decided he could integrate those two things, and just being really positive and had kids to send to college and those kinds of things as well, and came back to do the work. And then around COVID, the station asked him to sort of incorporate some inspirational messages into what he was doing, and he did some more of that. Just a really, really, really good guy, and so it was good to hear what a positive outlook he continues to have in the midst of this winding road.
That's great. Well, we wish him luck. He's quite a guy.
Yep, he sure is, and he's really funny too. In addition to being wise and caring and responsible and reliable and walking his faith in everything that he does, he's got a heck of a great sense of humor and the ability to talk people who aren't as funny as him, like me, into doing shticks and gigs with him back in the day. Premier Heating and Cooling, of course, oldest and most experienced American Standard customer care dealer in St. Louis. But here's the great news. Their technicians are better trained than just about anybody, not only here in St. Louis, but in the country, because what their service department recognized from day one is HVAC is getting better and getting more technologically advanced and getting more efficient. And that means that the technician's training has to get better and more technologically advanced. What you knew 20 years ago isn't going to do it. You need to be on top of that. And that's why all their technicians have completed a rigorous 5-year training program, as well as participating in all kinds of continuing education and training. So whatever your make and model of the HVAC system in your home, whatever furnace you're going to be turning on when we get down into the 30s and 40s over these coming weeks, and at least you need to have it on at night, they are going to be able to help you get that clean and check so it's running at a peak efficiency as we move into the colder weather. And they're also going to be able to help you get set up with the new unit if you need it as well. PremierHeatingCooling.net, 636-916-1122.
Have some fun with your friends while eating great food. Of course, I'm talking about the Village Bar, the only place to watch the big game while eating the world's best cheeseburger. There's a reason people have made this their favorite hangout for decades. The game's on, and so is the grill. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work. They're injected once weekly, and patients see within the first 90 days 10 to 15 pounds down. It simply works, and that's why I recommend it to all of my patients. You simply go online, book an appointment. You fill out a health questionnaire form. You get an appointment on our schedule. It's all telemedicine based. It's all done from your home. And then you meet with me or one of my nurse practitioners. And then after the 10, 15-minute consult, the medication is delivered right to your door discreetly, and you get started right now on your weight loss journey.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call stlmedweightloss.com and ask Dr. Joe. stlmedweightloss.com.
Altair Travel and Cruises is proud to sponsor KTRS Pink in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And they're partnering with one of their preferred suppliers, Alma Waterways. River cruising is a hot way to travel right now, and Altair and Alma Waterways are offering $100 off any new Alma Waterways river cruise bookings made through Altair October 1st through the 31st. Call Altair today to book your next river cruise at 314-968-9600 or online at altairtravel.com.
Truck drivers, the holiday rush is here. Take advantage by becoming a Schneider driver. By driving for one of America's busiest carriers, you'll stay busy during the holiday season and throughout the new year. Plus, as a Schneider driver, you'll have access to top quality driver support and newer equipment spec'd with the latest safety and comfort features that drivers want. Don't wait. Get a jump on 2026 by exploring jobs in your area today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Well, it's good to be Laird Veach. Welcome back to the Frank and Jill Show. Frank Cusimano, Jill Farmer. We're here till 12 o'clock on the Big 550 KTRS, the home of the Missouri Tigers in St. Louis. So it's good to be Laird Veach because he's the athletic director, and the football program loses home games every 725 days. I think they're 25-6 since 2023. They have an incredible collective. They have the North End Zone project about to be unveiled. Things are rocking and rolling. Laird, good to be with you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for the kind words introduction. It's a fun time at Mizzou, that's for sure. Got a lot of great coaches and student athlete staff, fans, donors, a lot of people doing a lot of great things. So I appreciate that.
So you, as a former football player, take me through what your life was like late Saturday night as that field goal by the Missouri kicker, I thought was actually in from one of the viewpoints, one of the replays. It looked like it was going in, and even Coach Drink thought it was going in because he ran out on the field. But how about just take me through you being a passionate football guy, what your Saturday night was like?
Well, I was down in the corner, just about 20, 30 yards down from Coach Drink. So my angle was not any better, and I followed him off in the corner, celebrating onto the field too, for the same reason. Man, it looked good from that angle. I will tell you, I don't blame him for getting as excited as he did, because it sure looked good over from that sideline. But it was awesome. I mean, it was the whole experience. You know, those kind of emotional moments lead to some pretty incredible memories. And you know, seeing Coach Drink, stand up on that podium with Truman after the game and celebrating, and just seeing how excited our players were in the locker room after the game, it was a pretty special moment.
Wow, yeah, it couldn't have been more thrilling for those of us watching, for sure. We greatly enjoyed it. And it's fun to see, of course, Mizzou moving up in the rankings as well. How much attention are you paying to those things like the college ranking polls at this point?
You know, I read them just like, you know, all the other fans do, et cetera. I don't put a lot of time or stock into them. You know, it is, you know, obviously it's a journey. You get into these seasons, and you want the attention, the hype it brings for your school, for the program, the excitement it helps continue to build. But you know, ultimately, what matters is, you know, sounds like coach speak, but it's what happens later in the season and where you land, where you're at. So right now, we'll keep chasing it and see what happens. You know, hopefully we can be in a position to do something pretty special by the end of the season.
And it sets up an incredible game. I don't think many people at the beginning of the season thought that Missouri playing at Vanderbilt would maybe determine one of the college football playoff teams, but it likely could. And the game day crew will be there. The hype and hoopla surrounding this game is absolutely amazing. Just take us inside the athletic department of Mizzou and just what you're feeling right now.
Well, we're feeling a lot. It sure is busy. I'll tell you that. But it's good busy. You know, I always get the comment, your job must be easy when you're winning, and the reality of it is it's just that much busier. You know, there's a lot more people want tickets. A lot more things are happening, and your staff has a lot to do. Our crew is super busy because, you know, obviously football is rolling and getting a lot of attention right now, but we're also in that time where we are getting ready for both basketball seasons. We, you know, got a lot of other sports going right now, so there's a ton of things going on. But man, it's sure nice when you're winning and it's positive stuff.
So Coach Drink really jumped on the media last week, not in a nasty way, but just let everybody know it's ridiculous, the rumors that are running around in college football about guys that will be fired, guys that could be leaving, and you know. I just want to bring it up, what he brought up, and then you can respond. It's a testament to the University of Missouri that all these programs, I mean, one of the lead stories in The Athletic is Florida should hire Coach Drink. Just kind of your reaction to hear your head coach's name, you know, being discussed at all these potential openings.
Well, you know, just like Coach Drink said, I mean, that's ultimately what you want. I mean, you think about the alternatives and where we're at in college athletics. You want to be in a spot where you do have coaches that are coveted and where, you know, programs are excelling and expectations are rising. I mean, that is what we're shooting for. So, you know, it's good to be in that spot. You know, I'm sure just like Coach Drink and everybody else around here, we're focused on the season ahead and what we have going, but you know, these are the kind of challenges and the things that you want for your program, and as athletic director, you can choose your challenges, and this is sure a challenge that we want to meet head on, and excited to be in the spot we are.
It sounds like an athletic director who will do anything to keep his head coach.
Yes, I am very focused on continuing to support our coach, and you know, he's been so good to this place in so many ways. We want to keep that rolling as long as humanly possible.
And of course, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Laird Veach, of course, the athletic director at the University of Missouri. The SEC announced a 9-game conference football schedule starting in 2026, which would mean Mizzou plays more SEC games from that point forward. What kind of a change is that for you to manage as athletic director?
Well, from an AD standpoint right now, we're really more focused on kind of what adjustments we need to make to our non-conference schedule, obviously, to accommodate the extra game. And, there's changes that are going to have to take place, but we also have to be really thoughtful about, the overall impacts to the team, the strength of schedule. Taking on a 9-game schedule in this conference is no easy task. Just as you referenced earlier, the league is pretty incredible, right? I mean, you look at just a top to bottom, the kind of competitiveness that we have. So we have to be really thoughtful about that. So that's our focus right now on the administrative side, and just excited for what that's going to bring to the fan base, to the experience for fans not only here in Columbia, but to go on road trips and go to places like we are Vanderbilt this weekend, being in Nashville. I mean, there's just a ton of opportunities for great experiences in the years ahead.
Yeah, that's good for the fans. However, with more SEC games, that's going to be more losses for SEC teams. So do you think that could affect the number of SEC teams getting into the college football playoff, Laird?
Well, that was a huge part of the conversation as the league ADs were having we're talking through that decision. And, one of the adjustments that the CFP has made going into this season is, factoring in more metrics and impacts of the strength of schedule. Now, I also think we need to then kind of see how that plays out for this year and think about the future. I am a proponent of an expansion of the playoffs. I believe we need to have more and more opportunities for young people and for fans to have teams with access. And the more that happens in the future will be, I think, helpful for schools like ours and others as you get into a conference season like this. And, you have 1 or 2 losses in your league. You shouldn't necessarily be in a position to think that, maybe we're out of the picture already. So, we need to look at what the NFL has done and how they've provided more and more access, more hope, more, continued interest as the season plays on. And, that's something I'll be looking forward to here as we have more conversations at the league level.
A few more quick ones before we let you go. Everybody that watches a Mizzou game on TV in Columbia, they see all the construction at the North End project. Can you give us, in layman terms, just how cool this is going to be? And are you at $250 million? Is that what the project is?
It is. It is a $250 million investment, and it's first of all, it's going really well. So construction's going great. That's always the number one question I get is how much money are we raising and how's the project going? And both are going well. We still got some work to do. We got about $25 million left in philanthropic support. We would like to achieve. Ticket sales are going incredibly well, very, very fast on that north end, particularly over the last few weeks, as you might imagine. And so that process is going good. But in layman's terms, it is going to be a very cool project. You're right. The impact of that thing, not just for the people that get to sit up in the those real high end nice seats. It's really about how it impacts the experience overall for everybody. I mean, you can see it already this year how much louder it is. How enclosing the stadium, the way it feels when, not only inside the stadium, but when you drive by on Stadium Boulevard and look back and see that statement that we're making, that kind of championship statement to the country that we're serious about winning at the highest levels in college football.
And this is a little bit off the path, but with some schools retroactively claiming national titles, has there been any thought to claiming the 1960 title where technically Mizzou had an undefeated season? Have you even thought about that at all?
Candidly, the only time I thought about it is when people have brought it up and asked it. And of course, so nothing of significance yet. That to me is more of a off-season kind of conversation. Right now we're focusing on winning championships this year, and then we'll think about the past at a later time.
Laird, we appreciate your time. And I did say this at the Tiger Club the other day when I spoke to them in Webster Groves, that I don't think I can ever remember a time, if you factor in their age, what they have done, what they're doing, and what the recruiting in the future looks like, Mizzou has ever been in better shape with a men's basketball coach and a football coach than you have right now with Dennis Gates and Eli Drinkwitz.
Yeah, we got some special ones for sure. And you're really excited to see Coach Gates and what that season looks like, the talent that he's put together and the the structure behind the scenes. It's pretty awesome. So that's going to be fun to watch as well.
We appreciate your time, Laird. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. Laird Veach joining us, Mizzou Athletic Director.
Scanning a little bit of social media over the weekend, a couple of friends, unfortunately, with that rain that we finally got after not having rain for a long time, some people ended up with some water in the basement. It seems like water finds its way inside the longer it is that we have dry time. Changes, of course, things like how deep the dry land is next to your house can create cracks in the foundation, all kinds of messes that we just don't want to have to deal with. And one of the things that's so great about Wood's Basement Systems is they have something called a half-wall restoration. That's for finishing the part of the basement that may have been ruined from water or even mold. They put a waterproofed panel in after they cut out the old moldy drywall. It looks like it was part of the basement forever, and it can help prevent future issues as part of a basement waterproofing system for you. It's great new way of building, new way of doing things that Woods Basement Systems has brought to thousands of people in our region now. Check it out at woodsbasementsystems.com or 618-708-4055.
Have you seen all the 5-star reviews Michael's Baths has gotten on Google? How about their A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau? Everyone, including the nanny, raves about Michael's friendly office staff and their experienced installation team. With over 30 years of experience, all they do is bathrooms. They're not trying to be the biggest. They just want to be the best. Right now, get a free shower door or $500 off your bathroom remodel. Call Michael's Baths, 636-775-0800 or michaelsbaths.com.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Windows specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner Day.
Let the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra take you on a journey through the Nordic countryside at Prokofiev and Sibelius from dark to light on October 24th and 25th. The SLSO performs Sibelius's sweeping Second Symphony, and renowned violinist Augustin Hadovich joins to dazzle on Prokofiev's Second Violin Concerto. Led by rising star conductor Tabita Berglund, performances take place at the newly reopened Powell Hall October 24th and 25th. Tickets at slso.org.
Let's talk about high school for just a moment, because that young man you brought home from the hospital yesterday, you're going to blink your eyes, and all of a sudden now you start talking about high schools. Well, that's where St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School comes in, because it's an all-boys, independent Catholic high school. And what St. Mary's will do is they will prepare your son to be the future. Whether it's college, trade work, or a career of their choice, St. Mary's, over the years, has produced a whole lot of millionaires and a couple of billionaires along the way. And when you graduate from St. Mary's, you have that alumni as a resource. Schedule your visit today and find out more about St. Mary's. stmaryshs.com. That's stmaryshs.com. They will teach the skills that are needed to thrive and survive in the 21st century, as well as teaching old school values. To find out more, stmaryshs.com. That's stmaryshs.com.
Hey, it's Julie Buck for our friends at Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution, and they've been in St. Louis for over 20 years with 2 locations, one at Clayton and Lindbergh, and the other one just west of 270 on Olive. If you've got your own business and you want to have a better banking experience, look no further than Triad Bank. Their mission is to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services to you and your business. For more, go to triadbanking.com.
Jewels on Hampton pay some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, gemstones, coins, collectibles, and sports memorabilia. jewels on Hampton.com.
I'm Bob Hardcastle. Listen to my Money Talk radio program every Sunday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. on the Big 550, where we discuss your money in an easy-to-understand manner. We have interesting guests, chat about money. We try to help you feel more comfortable with your money by talking about the investment market. Join me. I'm Bob Hardcastle.
Money Talk, Sunday morning at 8 on the Big 550 KTRS.
Kuna Food Service has been the trusted food supplier in the Midwest since 1918. For over 100 years, Kuna has been distributing the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. When a restaurant puts their trust in Kuna, they get a team that truly cares about their success. Check them out online at kunafoodservice.com.
Speaking of Kuna, of course, they provide the great, incredible meat at O'Connell's Burgers, which we talked about when we had John Parker on last Thursday. I've had more people come up and comment on what a great interview that was and what good news they thought it was that a new family, Family on the Hill, is going to be.
Really
vet
it out. Yeah.
And they're gonna carry on the traditions, keep all the things that were great about it great, moving into the next family ownership of O'Connell's. A lot of people you were really touched by the earnestness of that.
So you're excited about the John Carney show today, I understand.
I'm really excited because Sean Cassidy is going to be on the Carney show today, which is, I don't know, maybe one of the biggest gets of anybody at any radio station I've ever heard of in St. Louis.
That's the biggest get?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean,
you're going with Sean Cassidy.
I'm going with Sean Cassidy. You guys,
not Senator Danforth or Governor Nixon.
No, I am being obviously a little facetious, but not really. If you were a kid like me,
There's
growing
your
up in
right
the 70s,
67-year-old Sean Cassidy.
He's looking pretty good. Not as good as my Tiger Beat posters that were up all over my room in about, I would say, 1975 or 1977 to 1980. I really had a great collection.
He had kind of the Farrah Fawcett version of a man's haircut.
Yes.
Kind of that feathery, parted in the middle, blondish.
I mean, he could do it all. I was one of the Hardy Boys. He could sing incredible songs like "To Do Run Run." Somebody told me that her name was Jill, which of course I thought was pretty thrilling at that phase of my life.
So what is he doing now?
That's why we all have to tune in to the Carney show to hear what great things he continues to do today after making such an impact on the world in the 70s.
Was he was a much bigger star than Jimmy McNichol, right?
I think so, but he would have been gracing the same Tiger Beat magazines as
I have those. Good friend who was at a diner in Hollywood just in the last couple of years, and he's telling me the story. He goes, I'm sitting there at the diner, I'm just about to pay my bill, and you never knew who was right next to me. None other than Mr. Jimmy McNichol. And we always give him a hard time. None other than Mr. Jimmy McNichol. There's like 12 people who know who Jimmy McNichol is.
I did get a text this weekend from my daughter Jane down in Austin that Matthew McConaughey was at the restaurant they were at.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now there's a superstar.
Yes, and he's somebody who you're likely to run into because I think he does love himself some Austin.
I think men of my age always thought Kristen McNichol was kind of neat when we were like 13.
Sure, after school specials, she did a lot of those.
She played Buddy on some kind of TV series. It was probably horrible that I liked. I don't know. So, all right, that'll do it for this edition of the program. The Carney Show, with making just headwaves with this incredible, iconic guest, Sean Cassidy. Coming up next with Julie Buck. We'll take a break. We'll be back in 22.
It's Sarah Haynes from The View. Today, stronger immunity and better nutrition are more important than ever. That's why Eggland's Best gives you and your family more. Compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best provides 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, all helping you to maintain a strong immune system and better overall health. Plus, you get all that farm-fresh, delicious taste. These are no ordinary times, so why choose an ordinary egg? Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal